Owen, good morning.
Good morning, Dave. Good morning.
Are you doing loads of DIY at home, you are?
There's a lot of DIY going on. You can hear the hammers and all the fellas who have put things on the long finger taking to it now.
They are, yeah. Just you're coming in and out there slightly with the signal, so just make sure you're okay with that. We had an orthopaedic surgeon on this morning saying that a lot of people going into hospital with broken bones after falling off ladders, so please be careful out there, everybody. Owen, I know you're very busy. You're with Travel Extra and the travel disruption. Ryanair has now grounded flights till June. We've been talking to people in Australia, in New Zealand, different parts of the world. Abby and William from Old Parish here and from Tallow. What is happening out there, please? Can you tell us?
The aviation industry is dealing with something that they never expected to come across in their history. What we've seen is particular to Australia, Damien. I don't know how clear your line is, so that this is okay for you.
That's okay now, thanks,
Yeah. What we're seeing particular to Australia is the two trunk routes that people used to take with Emirates and Etihad. Both of them very untidily shut down their services. They said they would keep going to Wednesday, and they both pulled out yesterday after a series of information and tweeting information and then retracting it over the weekend. There is one of the major carriers that goes through the Middle East, Qatar. They are still flying, but the bad news is they've reduced their Dublin-Doha leg from 10 flights a week to 4 flights a week, and they have also reduced capacity on the Australian side. They've got grounded their A380s. That means a lot of people who are only discovering now the scale of the problem, trying to get home in a hurry. If you want to book a short notice, even if you're going to Birmingham from Dublin, it's going to cost you a lot of money if you're trying to get it at the last minute. So a lot of those prices are way outside the reach of the Irish people who are out there.
And we've had direct experience of people telling those stories already this week, Owen, and it is horrendous, the amount of monies. And since you've come on air, a woman has just phoned the show to say her daughter is stranded in Dubai. The airline has just abandoned them, Gulf Air, after cancelling their flight.
Yeah, Dubai is shut. She shouldn't even have been let on the flight. Dubai, you cannot get in and out of United Arab Emirates. And while they were allowing transit through, they decided yesterday that only UAE citizens would be let on board the flight. And that is effectively shutting down all of United Arab Emirates, and that applies to Abu Dhabi as well. Doha, it's closed, but the transit passengers are okay. Different airports, different approaches. Singapore, no transit passengers allowed. Kuala Lumpur, you can't get into Malaysia, but transits are allowed through KL. There are loads of ways home, but they're not one stop. They're not very comfortable. You could end up, Malaysia is still flying. The Chinese airlines say China Eastern, China Southern. You can transit through other Chinese cities, but not Beijing. One that nobody in Ireland thinks of is Aeroflot. We have a daily flight to Moscow, and it'll take 2 stops from Australia, but it is one of the options that probably isn't as crowded or doesn't have the long waiting list at the other. And to add to the confusion, Damien, it's impossible to contact the airlines. The easiest way to get through to an airline at the best of times is to tweet directly to them. But there's something I never knew existed until we discovered it this week. Most of them seem to have a system where if you hold for 3 hours, it then shuts you off and you have to dial in again. And their call centres are completely unable to cope with it.
I know. I had some young lads bringing them over to Norwich last weekend and just couldn't get through to Ryanair. And if you can't get through to them, if the flight is cancelled, do you automatically get a refund if you cannot reschedule? For example, somebody's asking about Aer Lingus. Do you automatically get a refund?
This was a very simple question last week with a very simple answer: yes. Now the airlines are looking to Brussels to say those laws are for normal times. These are not normal times. What the Aer Lingus in particular are doing is offering 110% vouchers for the cost of your trip, and they're saying that if you don't take the voucher, they don't actually advertise that but they are legally obliged. They know they're legally obliged to give the refund. But what all the airlines are doing is saying is if everybody will rise for their refund now, the cash crunch might bring us on down. What the American airlines are doing is saying, here's a voucher for 12 months. If you haven't rebooked in 12 months, we'll give you the cash then. They're doing everything to buy.
And that's fair enough. That's fair enough if you think about it, isn't it?
There are a counter-argument to that a lot of the households who were well off 2 weeks ago are now facing problems of their own, and they need the cash.
Yes.
The best of them all, and we like them endlessly, is Ryanair, because they cancelled April, and as you mentioned, they issued a statement yesterday, and most of April and May is gone. Everybody was booked on those flights got an email saying, this is your link for your refund, fill out the form and we give you back the money in 5 days. The difference with Ryanair is they're sitting on a mountain of cash. They can afford to ship something like this. Some of the other airlines cannot.
What about travel insurance? The texter, I'm very annoyed with my travel insurance company. I've tried to contact them. I don't see I'm going to be needing insurance in the near future. I want to cancel it, but I can't get through to them.
Okay, travel insurance inundated. One of the reasons that, there are a lot of sticky points here. We could spend all morning on them.
Yes.
But one of the sticky points is particularly Aer Lingus flights to North America. You're not let into North America. Donald Trump has decided that. You're still booked in your Aer Lingus flight. They say, okay, the flight wasn't cancelled. You're not entitled to your money back. Go to your insurer, because your disruption insurance will cover your money. The insurance is saying, no, go to the airline first. So this is the nightmare situation for a punter, where two third parties end up fighting it out in the courts for ages, and you've really no idea till all of that process is coming to an end. Insurance disruption cover, it's not part of your normal €100 a year, €90 a year travel insurance policy. It costs about €17 extra for the year and 10 for a trip, and it's supposed to cover things like the ash cloud, if listeners can remember that far back. But what it should have been covering is coronavirus. What I see is the new policies, the new policies including a clause saying it does not apply to coronavirus, and some of the existing policies you can probably see a fight there in the courts. At EU level, this is where it'll all end up, saying, we don't have to pay for that. But disruption cover should cover you. And if you're trying to get through to the travel insurance company for something that isn't related to the current crisis, you haven't a hope of getting through, because they're inundated with frantic passengers and people who really need money now that mightn't have thought they needed it.
Oh, and I won't keep you, because there's so many people coming in about KLM. Do you know if they're still flying? Other people...
Yeah, KLM are very limited routes. Netherlands is one of the few countries open, but their long-haul fleet is grounded. Lufthansa's long-haul fleet is effectively grounded. Qantas's long-haul fleet is effectively grounded. BA's is grounded.
Yeah.
You're down to a smaller number of airlines. When that happens, supply and demand is the same as when I was in St. Anne's National School. The price will go up. The place not to be stranded, because it's very, very messy and very complicated in South America. Australia has closed down, but they haven't shut their airports, they haven't shut their borders. South America has.
And what about...
There are lots of Irish out there.
We're trying to talk to this lady on the phone about her granddaughter being stuck in Dubai. Like, what advice would you have for somebody there?
Just sit it out. You're not going to be able, if she's in actually Dubai working there or in the city there, you're not going to get out until the United Arab Emirates government decides, and they're less conducive to special pleading than most of the Western European ones are.
Eoghan Corry, mind yourself and your family. God bless.
Thank you very much, Damien.
Thank you, Eoghan Corry there, Travel Extra, in these extraordinary times. As I